let's talk about Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is one of the most hated characters in all of Dragon Ball. You can't go far without having someone complaining about how she's such a bad character and probably shouldn't exist in the first place. Most of the time, she seems to be there just to get in the way of Goku and Gohan. She's one of the few characters who seems to exist only as an obstacle, like she's supposed to be a villain or something. But at the same time, I think the hate for her is often a little excessive. Not because her character is just really complex deep down, but because I feel like some people in the fandom don't really understand what her character is and what she's supposed to represent. So let's work out, what is the deal with Chi-Chi? If I had to sum up Chi-Chi's character in one sentence, it would be idealistic to a fault. She has a very simple, often naive view of the world, and I think that's partially because of her upbringing. If you look at Chi-Chi's origin, she's the daughter of a sort of wild bandit warlord, the Ox King. She's quite sheltered and doesn't know much about the outside world. One of the first times she gets introduced to the wider world in the first place is when Goku shows up and takes her on Kintoen on a quest to restore her home. Also, he pats her crotch to check to see if she's a girl. She's not an ordinary little girl, and she doesn't grow up to be an ordinary woman, but she tries to. See, Chi-Chi, knowing almost nothing about the outside world, assumes that it's just like the things she's been exposed to, like, say, magazines or books. She lives in the middle of nowhere with her father, so it's not like there's anyone to tell her otherwise. She marries Goku because Goku touched her crotch, and she decided at 12 years old that was so intimate that it demanded marriage. And 7 years later, she still believed in that promise. Once we get to Z, Chi-Chi's decides to settle down and be a housewife and mother to Gohan. She is perfectly okay with this and doesn't want anything more because that's what she believes her role as a traditional wife is and what it has to be. She constantly fusses over Gohan's education because that's what stereotypical Asian mothers do. They fuss over education. Of course, Goku is not a traditional husband, and Chi-Chi is not in a traditional household. She tries to be, but it doesn't always work. People have a problem with this. They ask, why doesn't Chi-Chi understand that she's not in a normal household? Why doesn't she get that the fate of the world, for example, is more important than Gohan's studies? The answer to that is, Chi-Chi isn't very bright. She's just like Goku. Neither of them are very bright, and they speak in the same uneducated sort of country dialect in the Japanese version. In the same way, Goku really doesn't understand the world outside of fighting and eating and his friends, Chi-Chi doesn't understand the world any larger than the idealistic picture she has of it. She literally cannot comprehend the existence of aliens and magic and non-traditional family roles, so she rejects all that. She rejects everything that doesn't fit her own worldview. If you want one of the best examples of this, Chi-Chi slapping Majin Buu for killing Gohan. She didn't just do that because she was being brave. She did it because she literally did not believe that Majin Buu was some kind of magical alien monster that could turn her into an egg. Everyone else understood what Buu was capable of, but not her, because that idea shatters the worldview that she has, so she just doesn't accept it. Now, why did Akira Toriyama create such a strange character? Because most of the time, she's used for comedy. When Chi-Chi says Gohan's studies are more important than the fate of the world, it's supposed to be funny. And it is kind of funny. When she slaps Majin Buu, it's supposed to be funny because it's just this real contrast between her opinions of the world and what the world actually is like. That's why it sometimes baffles me when people try to look at Chi-Chi realistically. She is not a person who would exist in real life. In the same way, Goku is not a person who would exist in real life. Or Vegeta. Their characters are supposed to be larger than life. That's how the story works. Now, does this mean Chi-Chi is a good character? Not necessarily, but it doesn't mean she's poorly written. Her character is consistent. So for everyone trying to make her fit in our world, just remember, Dragon Ball is not our world. It doesn't operate by our rules, and neither does Chi-Chi. So the next time you think about doing an angry rant about how Chi-Chi is such a bad character, just remember what her character is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be taken that seriously, and it's not supposed to be taken realistically either. You're still allowed to dislike her, but just keep this in mind. So this is Gabby, signing out, and goodbye guys!